Did you block it? Is it all fit and look good?
Framed.
Yeah, I mean, Peter's a little large. Peter's a little large, but we fit. Hey, Marcus fit. We can all fit.
Big shoes to fill now.
Yeah, I know. Literally. What's up, guys? We're back here at UpriseMMA with Pete, who happens to be the owner of UpriseMMA. It's a great honor. Coach Pete Panos. He's a Muay Thai specialist here. By the way, let's get something out of the way. We don't usually
labels out.
we don't
Labels to where the
we don't normally drink beer, but when we do, it's because it's available. And also, we got invited. We didn't spring for it. But anyway, I know UFC got sponsored by Modelo, so. Why can't we?
Modelo, please sponsor us.
And if we don't, we're still going to drink it. We're just going to turn the label around. But for now, we're going to leave it like that because, we won the dough. Anyway, Pete, thanks for joining us. Hey, cheers. Cheers. How long have you had the gym? This particular location?
After you have to take a sip.
That's true. That's true. How do you say cheers in Greek?
Yamas.
Yamas?
Yeah, for our health.
It's funny because it's in every language. When you say cheers, it means for health. When you say, when somebody sneezes, you say to your health.
Yeah.
In English, you don't say it. You say cheers and you say bless you.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with health.
I mean, it could.
Although bless you originated from I think don't quote me on that. But I believe in medieval times people were. No, I think it's because
That's
people
what
were.
I heard.
Really? I've heard a more pragmatic story where people were just getting the cold and dying left and right, and because that's what happened at those times when you get the cold, it gets into a flu and all that stuff.
I'll have to check that out.
And then they started telling them, God bless you, so, because you don't know what's going to happen with you. Yeah, they're assuming.
I mean, that's...
So, yeah, but that's just a story I heard. It may be.
We're going to try to find that out before the end of the podcast.
Session.
I don't know how. I didn't bring a computer to my phone.
I got Google AI.
You got. Is it as small as your battery pack? Why don't you show your battery? Why don't you show your battery pack? This is the phone. This is 1985.
It's cool though because you could plug stuff in like.
Oh yeah, you can plug. Where's the stuff though that you're gonna plug in?
I'm ready. When he walked in.
It is a generator, dude. It's like, and it's got stickers on it. It's like one of those, like college students got their computers with stickers and stuff. You should.
I like it.
I steal the stickers from work.
He used.
It wouldn't be Ian's thing if it didn't have stickers. Stickers or pins on it.
Right.
He misses the days of the boombox, so now he's just carrying this with the phone.
I can use this.
Oh man. Anyway, let's get back to the question that how long have you had this location? Since 2020?
This location here, where we're in today, probably about 3 years. So
2021. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it was was it around? It was around Halloween, no? More or less.
You're gonna find out through this interview. I forget a lot of things. So hey,
we have a lot of things to remember.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, I think it was around this time, if I remember correctly. But I don't. So.
Interview?
This is an interview?
Where am I?
You can call it that. No. You lost me at interview.
That's what we told them to get them on. We're going to be interviewing you. We got this
thing is gonna
segment.
We're gonna have like little segments on
for marketing.
They're gonna show Joe Rogan, Tony, what's his name, Kill Tony, and then us, and you're gonna be there.
That's funny.
Kill Tony.
2021. That's 3 years already here.
Yeah, about 3 years.
3 years, and then the previous location, the actual
right
original
down the
Uprise
street.
was.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was there about 4 years.
That was
this is the
2017.
third
I remember.
one, right?
You know
It's
how
a
I
fourth
remember those
gym.
things? The Wi-Fi.
Wow, I only remember 3.
Yeah. So
What was
the
before
first
the
gym,
furthest one?
That's the fourth one, right?
This is the fourth one. I met you and Lugo at the third one, which was
Okay.
The second one. The second.
The second one.
no.
The third one back.
Yes. So there's 4 gyms. The first one, the second one, the third one. This would be the fourth one.
Right.
Right.
And so I met you two both at the second one.
The second one.
Correct. The Way of the Warrior.
Yeah, Way of the
It was
Warrior.
called.
Yeah. What was the first one called?
It's also called Way of the Warrior.
Way of the Warrior?
Yeah.
The third one was Way of the Warrior.
No, third one was Uprise.
Uprise.
Was it?
Yeah. Yeah, you rebranded when you went
The
down
one
here.
down there was Uprise?
Yeah.
By Taco Bell, yeah.
Oh, wow.
It had the same colors. Remember the mats and everything?
I do remember when you got the new mats. And
Whereas the Way of the Warrior was blue and black.
Okay, that's
blue
right.
and black
Correct.
theme. Was that back there?
It was.
That bag was there, but that's the only thing.
No, that was also
Oh, and the
black bag as well.
and that one. Yeah, the blue and the black bags. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything else.
Remnants of the past.
Everything else is new, right? Maybe that.
The wall pads were vinyled or whatever from black and blue to they were.
Oh, you just got them
they
like
were blue and
reupholstered?
black, yeah.
Yeah.
know
So
if
what
that's the
happened with the
word.
blue?
We reupholstered it to.
Oh,
Actually,
okay.
they were originally all red, and then we reupholstered them black and blue, and then I just pulled the blue off of the.
Oh,
red
I
ones,
see.
kept the
Okay,
black
okay.
ones, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that part. That I didn't know, but I remember the. I remember in that location where we started, there was two rooms. The first room is where we trained, but then there was the additional room with the smaller mats on top, which was elevated for some reason.
That
Yep.
came later, like I was there for about maybe 5 years, and the first 2 or 3 years before you guys came, it was just the front room.
Wow.
Yeah, there was a wall. It was my office and the wall. And then the owner, who happens to own this building as well,
Has he owned all of yours?
yes, not the very first one, but the last 3.
Okay.
So he said, hey, I'm gonna, rent that room out. It's a garage if you want it, but it wasn't permitted, so he was having some issues. So that's why I just threw the mats down. I didn't want to
But that's where the
invest a
bags
lot.
were. Oh no, one.
I didn't hang anything, and I didn't put anything permanently because I didn't know if I was going to be able to keep that room.
Right.
Because it was kind of like
Yeah.
he was getting permits from the city, which in LA is difficult to do for whatever, you know why, it's LA. So yeah, that was the second location. I met both of you guys there. You guys have both come a long way.
When did you start there? Like when, as in
Dude, don't ask me a year.
you two?
Don't ask me a year.
That had to be at
All
least,
I
at least
remember-
7 or 8 years ago.
Yes.
Well, no, yeah, definitely. I started
And you
there
were a
8 years
blue or
ago.
purple belt?
I was a
then?
blue belt.
Blue belt.
I
He-
followed.
Yeah, he came in with the whole Verdum crew.
Yep.
Which Cohen, McDonald,
Ross.
Ross, Rich Salgado.
No, Rich wasn't from there. Huh?
Rich came
Not
with
from
you guys.
Verdun. He
No,
was
but
from
he
Dynamics.
came shortly after them or with that kind of time period.
Correct, but he came from Dynamics though.
Okay.
He didn't
Yeah.
train.
Well, all these guys came around the same
right,
time.
right.
I saw a kid.
So, but that was before me though.
I
Yes,
didn't know
he
where
came after, right?
Gustavo had gone. And I remember I was on a contract doing security work, and I called the gym because I was like, I'm going to get back into jiu-jitsu when I get back in the area. And I kept asking. I was like, yeah, I just want to train with Gustavo. I just want to train with Gustavo. He'd already left there.
Yeah.
They didn't want to tell me that
Oh
he
my
wasn't there.
God.
They were just like, oh, yeah, just come on back. We'll
That's
take care of
funny.
you. Come on back. So when I came back, I went over there. No Gustavo. So I'm like, oh, I just didn't feel
feel
right.
right, yeah.
I had no idea where Gustavo went. Randomly, I'm at the Rite Aid right across the street, right there.
This one?
Yes,
CVS, yeah.
or CVS. And I saw a guy, his name was Ken, that trained jiu-jitsu with us. I don't know where he went. He did judo, I remember also. But I saw him in there, and I was like, hey, how are you doing? Da, 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 da. He was like, I'm doing good. Da, da. As soon as he stopped talking, where's Gustavo? And he was like, I'm training with Gustavo at this spot. Da, da, da. And I was like, and I walked in and found him.
That's crazy.
Oh, when I started, it was you were a blue belt. You got your purple belt like shortly after, and it's funny because you had that old purple belt, like
purple
like
belt,
from
yeah.
the 1982 or whatever it was.
It was
year.
it was a buddy of mine
Yeah.
from where I first started. Actually, the Core brothers,
Corbet,
Corbet,
yeah, whatever.
DeAndre and Gavin. The guy that gave them their black belt was a purple belt when I was a blue belt in Virginia 100 years ago.
Oh, that you remember, but you can't
I
tell.
do remember that. And he gave me his purple belt, and he was like, when you become a purple belt, this is, you can wear this one.
That's dope.
Yeah, it was really cool. So I just kept it with me all these years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
You still have it?
I still have it. Well, it was the one that I wore forever. The one
Yeah.
that Gustavo gave me a purple belt, but it was too small.
Yeah.
And I was kind of happy because I was like, I'll just use the one that I've wanted to use, and that fit perfect.
You know
and I wore that all those years.
that was a similar story with me. Mine wasn't too small, but it was like all hard, and all that stuff. So and then back then I was training in gi when I got the purple belt. But before I got the purple belt, it was during the pandemic. I was training with Richard, and he had a couple of purple belts. He had one for him, and then he was like, you know what? You're probably gonna get it soon. Here you go. Just it was all nice and worn out, and like soft, and
Had some personality.
It's not like when you put it on, it feels like a bathrobe. You're gonna get tied in a bathrobe, and not like.
Because new belts are so awkward. So
Yeah,
stiff.
you're supposed to break them in.
You're supposed to
Yeah,
break it in.
well, yeah.
You
That's
guys
the
both
thing.
skipped.
You know that
Fuck it, it's already broken. Look at that dude. His boat's broken in. He's been training for a
I
long
haven't
time.
rolled in, I
dangerous.
haven't rolled in my brown belt yet.
Really?
No, I've.
Oh, 'cause
I've
you don't wear
I've
OD?
shot with Gustavo Film, yeah, and I've drilled, I think, or something like. I can't remember what I did, but I haven't actually rolled.
Yeah, I've rolled with my black belt, but it's funny because if you see my belts on my office, they're all weathered and
I've
soft.
seen, yeah, and
with
the
the
black
exception of the black
Yeah,
belt,
yeah.
it's still a little stiff because I just haven't done a lot of gi lately.
Yeah, no, we.
I was
kinda-
talking with Ken this morning about that, and I was like, I think once a month we're gonna put the gi tops on, Sambo style, and fucking just do some jujitsu.
I used to
I
do that
love
on
that.
Fridays.
I used to do it at my spot. A particular friend of mine, LJ, we did security together. He got me my first security job. I'm still doing security 100 years after that. But on Fridays, we would go in there and back then we would take the gi top off, put on gloves,
And just wear bottoms and gi
and
bottoms.
just wear bottoms. And then there were grippy gloves. So we would do the thing.
But with the belts on, like luta libre style.
Okay, we didn't do that.
No.
That's weird.
Oh.
For a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner.
You know the karate combat things. Those guys they come out.
Yeah,
with-
a lot of those
'cause
dudes
they're
aren't
not
karate.
wearing-
They changed that.
Yeah, but some of them have black belts in something, And because they're
Yeah.
not wearing gi, but they can wear gi pants, they come out with the gi pants and a t-shirt or something,
Yeah.
and they wear
Karate
their
combat's
belts.
pretty cool.
It's cool. I like the karate combat,
Yeah,
and
I
it
enjoy it.
opened up the doors for that pit,
the
whatever
pit.
they call it.
Yeah.
They call it the alley, I guess.
Yeah.
No, they call it the pit. I think Craig Jones calls it the alley.
I think Craig Jones calls it a pit, and they call it an alley.
Oh, is that so?
Every time I hear Craig Jones talk about it, I think he's saying,
Really?
I
Okay,
think he says
okay.
pit.
But I heard that they did another one, another competition with the same thing. What did you think of that? Did you like that? The CJI with.
I did like it. I liked it actually a lot. I love the fact that
No
the
resets,
match
no-
didn't stop the match didn't stop every time somebody.
How
went
would you
off.
compare it strictly visually entertainment-wise to ADCC?
I enjoyed it more.
Me too.
Maybe because I also know some of the people like Alexandra, the girl doing all the sideline
Alex
report.
Windling?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's trained here before, and
He told me that. I just
Yeah.
started watching her
Yeah.
stuff online. He was like, "Oh, she's been here before." I was like, "Oh, really?"
And then I just liked the fact that it was the energy was higher.
It was.
The way the being in the alley, the pit, whatever you want to call it, that was cool. The matches were fun, so yeah, I enjoyed it.
I also like the fact that there were rounds, which some people didn't like, but I like rounds in jiu-jitsu. I've spoken to you before.
Yeah.
I had an idea for a cage
With open
matches
scoring.
with- Open scoring is good too.
Which I
yes.
enjoyed.
Yes, I like that 10-9 system or 10-point system, I guess it's called. But I did like that there are 5 minutes, so it's like short matches,
Yeah.
and it's like you can change tactics, you can change.
I would like to see them
strategies.
maybe just encourage the the practitioners from sitting down.
We spoke about that
Yeah.
so
We had a
much.
whole
Oh,
thing
okay.
with Gustavo
and this
about
is a
that.
matter of opinion, I think. But,
And Kyle.
But it's a matter of opinion. There's some, like Axel, for example, actually thought that Levi won the match based on how many attacks. Yeah, based on how many attacks he did and all that. Now, be it
Do you
as
think
it
he
may,
won the match?
yeah,
Really?
Be it as it may, a lot of people think so, but
They're wrong.
It really, I mean, it's not about whether it's right or wrong. The rules allow it, and maybe he attacked more, and maybe you may make a point. You may have a point about that. The question is, do you want to see that, or do you want to see the semifinal match between Cade and
Andrew Tackett.
Andrew Tackett? So which one would you enjoy watching more?
Right,
you know?
100%.
And if you're
Anybody
if
in
you're
the
a-
world
if you're
would
well,
prefer that.
especially anybody in the world, if you're a casual, you pick somebody off the street and you say, "Come, let me show you something," and then you show them the 2 matches and you say, "What do you want
Even
to?"
as a jiu-jitsu person, I look
Dude,
at what
yeah.
and Levi Jones Leary is a genius.
No,
he
there's
is
no-
masterful
nobody's
with his
arguing that,
guard.
yeah.
But the hacking of the rules, like you said, it's allowed. I can't argue with that. Yes, obviously it's allowed. You're totally right. But it's gaming the
Bro,
system.
I couldn't wait for this match to finish. It's 5 rounds of it,
100%.
I couldn't wait for this thing to finish.
I was more concerned. I couldn't wait for Levi to lose.
Well, yeah, I mean, but
And
but
no
it was-
judge, no.
But people were loving him when he was winning his earlier matches.
Yeah, I mean he did. He
Well,
did
didn't he
well,
go
and-
against,
but he went against Ty, and Ty got injured, and they tried to. They already had basically the 411 on him. Basically, they knew what he's doing, and they knew that he was gonna stick to the same tactics, especially against the brothers. You know,
Are they that different? The twins?
the twins they play the same style.
That's what I figured.
Yeah, but
Well, maybe Cade saw what happened to his
But
brother
that's what
and
I'm
was
saying.
like, "Oh, I need to switch it up."
They already had intel on him, but the thing is that Ty also got injured, and the other thing is Ty's match was 3 rounds only, because it wasn't the final.
Oh.
So Ty, even if he hadn't gotten injured, may have lost in the eyes of the judges
Okay.
because he wasn't attacking enough, which is what happened with Cade initially.
Cade would have lost that if it was only 3 rounds.
Right. So
'Cause he
that's
lost
what
the
I'm
first
saying. That's what I'm
two.
saying.
I
So you see how it could have played, and you know how the length of the match essentially had a decisive. It was a decisive factor, but also Gustavo made a good point. If the match was 25 minutes straight, you bet your ass by the minute 12, 13, halfway through, Levi would have been worn out.
Well, it took him around to the 4th to
Around,
start
yeah.
slowing down.
To
And
start
the 5th,
slowing down, yeah.
You could tell he was definitely compromised.
Yes, and I think that it would have been travesty to give it to someone who was obviously losing,
Right.
his physical abilities at that point. Like if it's a fight, he's losing that fight,
Right.
And it would have also been, it would have been more so a travesty to give it to someone that displayed an attractive style of
Sure.
fighting compared to someone who actually displayed a great style of fighting in the previous match.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see the Tackett and the Cade for 5 rounds. It was
Yeah,
3 rounds, I believe, only.
Yeah.
But that thing was,
That was a great fight.
that's crazy.
It's amazing.
I mean,
And Jason North and what's his name, Cade also.
that was a great fight, but you
That
knew
was
who was
good.
going to win that fight.
Yeah,
you knew who was going to
but-
lose that fight.
Yeah, you knew it was gonna.
But he
it
did a
was
great
also
job.
Pretty interesting, to see the.
Jason Off will be good in a couple years.
He's already
Because this
good,
is
man.
all,
he's
what I'm saying,
ready.
this is all he's doing. He's going to be at that level.
He's already good. It's just that Cade Rotolo is world class jiu-jitsu.
What I'm saying, yeah, I'm saying he'll bring him up. Jason Off wouldn't do anything at ADCC.
It wasn't Cade. It
probably.
was Ty Rotolo actually that went against him, I think. But
It was
anyway,
Ty.
yeah. But it's like you've seen the one, you've seen the other.
I got a quick question. This doesn't do what we're talking about, but I don't want to forget it. 10-point must system, okay? Since we have an expert around here. Has there ever been a fight that was 10-5? Why is it a 10-point must system? Has there ever been someone in the history of boxing or whatever that has gotten a 3 or a 6? Why does that exist?
I don't think so. I think that it's,
I've heard of the mysterious. I've heard of 7s.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever actually witnessed in MMA or boxing a 7, but I've seen 8s.
Well, there have been.
it's-
there
But
have
I've
been
never seen or heard of a
boxing-
6
There
or
have
a
been boxing
5.
matches with I've seen that, and I can't quote the match, but I remember watching not too long ago a fight where the one guy got knocked down 3 times in the same round, and then he knocked down the other guy twice. So how would you score that? That's like a 8-7 or something. You know?
That was the other
You know
thing.
what I'm
Are there
saying?
any?
But if it's a 10
like a
must,
nine- is there
but
even
if
like
it's
a 9-9
must,
or a
then what is
9-8?
it? How does that score? Do you
Well, I
have any
guess
idea?
if it's a 10-point must, somebody must get a 10.
Yeah.
Is that what that means?
Yeah, I would assume so, right?
Okay.
So a guy gets knocked down twice, but he knocked down the other guys 3 times. He still get a 10.
So,
Yeah.
so if you win the
It's-
round, you get a 10.
Yeah, the scoring system is something I don't
It's
think I've ever
weird.
figured out. Like the mindset behind some judges that score bouts the way they score them, and then the system in itself.
Especially for MMA, because
yeah.
a lot of
Especially
the,
for-
a lot of
Boxing's the worst though.
a lot of
Boxing
the-
scoring has baffled me more than MMA scoring.
boxing, yeah, and the thing is that we spoke about that before. What do you think? What is your opinion? We see the compo stats, we see the strikes and all that stuff.
Yep.
Do they see it?
Who's they?
The judges.
I don't think so. Not to my
See,
knowledge.
I thought they
I don't
did.
think so.
I don't know if
either.
that's changed.
Because don't they have? This is MMA, right? Don't they make part of their judgment for the score
trying to make
according
money
to
here.
that?
My bad. They
I
sponsored
gotta
me
say,
yet.
I'm all
catch up.
behind.
Hey, Modelo.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a question I don't have an answer to, whether or not the judges have access to, like, the stats, like punches land, kicks land.
They could if they want to. I don't think.
I don't
if
know.
they're
I don't know if
allowed.
they. I don't know if they
wouldn't
want. You would think they would. You want all the
Yeah.
information you can. I think they want them focusing on the match.
Correct.
Not looking at stats.
Maybe you
as-
give it to 'em at
maybe
the
after
end.
the round. Maybe I don't know.
But if you're
But then how
Anything
he
that's
scored
gonna
each
help.
round,
Anything that's gonna help get the winner, the correct winner, I'm in favor of.
of course.
But then they all, if they all got the stats, they're all going to score it the same way.
Not necessarily, because there's other things.
Well, yeah.
Well, there is
factor
especially
into
in MMA,
brain
there's
control.
other stuff that's subjective.
So that's the interesting. So it is subjective, right? But if you see it round by round, because you're scoring round by round, like in one FC, it scored
The whole
match as a
fight,
whole,
pride, like pride.
right? Which I think is really hard, you know.
I agree.
But I think round
And
for round.
I think it's
is-
easier to get bias if
In a
you're
whole
scoring
fight?
the whole thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Because like my thing with John Jones, we always talk about this.
Yeah.
Robbie Lawler was the same way.
That fight with Dominic Reyes,
With
that
Dominic-
was very questionable. And I think that John Jones won. But
John Jones definitely lost that fight,
oh, come on.
but he won it because he's a champion. But
You got to beat the
he
champion.
came back. He didn't look as compromised in the fifth round.
Yeah.
And
I think the first time I watched it, I was Reyes. The second time I watched, I was like, yeah, I see how Jones won.
really.
I think so. And someone said something interesting once, and I've tried that actually, and it works. If you have any doubts about who won the fights and stuff like
Watch
this,
it again and turn the sound off.
turn the sound off. Very
I
good.
knew it.
Yeah, turn
Yep.
the sound off. Watch
Scoring
it and
a fight, I do
don't listen
understand.
to.
If you're watching a
Joe
fight
Rogan getting
trying
upset
to
about a
score it,
triangle.
you're watching a different fight than I watch when I'm just like, oh, let them make them bleed.
Yeah.
It's different,
I
and
think
I
that-
get it.
I think
they run on parallel things, but it's different.
I think the interesting thing to me is, I mean, I guess my field of expertise has been amateur fighting, right? I don't have any high-level pro guys in the UFC.
Not yet.
Not yet. And we go to these events, and there's maybe 15, 20 bouts in a
Right.
night, which is a long night for anybody, the coaches, the fighters,
Judges
the
are probably
judges.
worn out.
So I tell my fighters, super important when the round starts, we go, and when we hear that 10-second clicker, we
Go.
go.
We go, yeah.
Because I'm very sure the judges are, I'm not saying they're falling asleep at the wheel, but there's that maybe 2 minutes and 90 seconds in between the start of the fight and the end of the fight.
100%.
Ah, man, I can't wait to get home and eat something. I want a Modelo,
Right.
And then you hear that clicker go.
Modelo?
And yeah. And you start paying attention again. I
Right.
tell my guys, give it to me at that last 10 seconds.
Right.
Because if it's on the fence, if it's a pretty close fight between you two, in the last 10 seconds you put your foot on the
Last
gas.
impression, first and last impression.
Yes,
right?
first and last impression.
Yep.
Super important in fight.
Agreed.
Amateur and pro. I
And
think.
unless it's a blowout.
Yeah, unless it's super obvious.
Yeah, super obvious. I think the same thing. Like I see because a lot of that, especially the last 10 seconds when you hear the claps, is about who's got more energy left to
Yeah.
actually fight. So if you imagine the fight is about to go on, indefinitely, let's say. You can tell this fighter is actually fighting still, and the other guy is like already like waiting for the time,
Right.
And so I think actually it does matter a lot, even if I think that it should be an actual criteria in actual scoring, if you ask me. Who looks better at the end of the round, because
I hate that.
That's
I don't-
interesting.
Yeah, I don't like that theory because I'm like, if my guys work in that middle, and then you have a flurry at the end, and you give the round to Ian.
no, not give him the round, but consider it
Yeah.
into the overall. If we had the same amount of strikes, for example, more or less the same amount of strikes, nobody can really tell unless it's you see the computerized statistics. But if we have more or less the same amount of strikes, more or less the same quality of strikes, because I could be just jabbing and you kicking my ribs all the time. We had like I try to take down your stuff that's good. That doesn't really matter. Ring control and all that. Maybe that should matter at the end of the round. Who looked fresher at the end of the round.
Also, it just dawned upon me that might encourage guys not to give as much during the fight. If you take that, if that
I
becomes
don't
a part
think.
of the scoring.
I think when you're in there, it's so freaking chaotic
Right.
that you're not really thinking like that. I just try to plant the seed that when you hear that, give a little extra at the end and the beginning, because it's just human nature for people, especially in a long night of scoring fights, to just drift off and not pay as close of attention.
Right.
And then the round's ending, you have to score it, so
That's
you're
what
going to be
you're gonna
looking for
remember,
things.
too.
Yeah. So I'm like,
Yeah.
give it to me the whole 2 or 3 minutes, but especially try to give it to me at the very end.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, maybe you have a point. Maybe it's not. It wouldn't be a good thing to, but I think that all the, I mean, it's so subjective, the way judges score. The other thing I was going to
And
tell you is,
it really shouldn't be. That's
it
the fight,
shouldn't
is
be,
to make it,
it shouldn't be,
as
but
objective as possible.
as objective as possible, but it's 3 different people scoring the fight. And if you think about the,
And some people waste
That's-
other things more heavy than other
so
things.
so if you look at the statistics that we all see, then the subjectiveness will kick in. Then you're gonna say, well, how come you scored a 10-9 and I scored a 10-9, but in the other way around? You know, like, what is the difference of opinion? Since we're all looking at the same
That's a great
statistic.
question, because
And
UFC's having these
right,
bad judges
right.
crazy.
Well, to me, it's
And they would never do it. But if you got those two cats together and you're like, okay, why is this? Why is yours this?
I'm sure
and
they have
why
reasons.
do y'all
Well,
think
let me
that
ask
it's
you
so?
guys
Do y'all
this:
think
with,
this is crazy?
with technology advancing the way it's advancing,
should get easier.
Would you rather it be like an AI deciding the fights, like something that's computing all of the stats as they're coming in and happening?
can
give you
AI
a-
determine how much heart the one
That's-
fighter is
yeah.
showing?
Yeah.
That shouldn't.
What if we had a computer-generated judge, a human judge, and then the third judge? I don't know, maybe another.
Imagine AI
That'd be
deciding.
something, right?
Imagine AI deciding, which shouldn't be that hard even nowadays. But imagine AI deciding, and we're talking about the last 10 seconds, and the one fighter who looks fresher starts throwing punches, but he connects 1 out of the 10 punches that he threw, right? In the total punches that he threw for the round, maybe 56 punches thrown on his part. The last 10 seconds showed 10 punches, right? And out of those, he connected 1, which is only 10%. And of the other 46, he connected maybe 20%. So overall, it's going to be like nothing, right? Whatever. And so then AI is going to calculate it as a very low percentage.
AI will calculate
But it's not going to
however you tell AI to calculate it, though.
No, that's the thing about
I'm just
AI.
saying, you tell AI, okay, the ones that hit count
scored this,
more
right.
than the ones
Yeah.
they're just thrown.
Right.
So we don't.
I say we
don't-
scrap all that. We get 3 drunks from the crowd. Put 3
They'd probably
Modelo's
be
in
better
front
than
of
the judges.
Imagine the judges start booing when they get on the wall.
Yeah, when they're grappling. Yeah.
Fucking everybody looks at them. It's like, oh my god, guys, come on.
Did you see the Francis fight?
I didn't. I
see
was
it.
actually coaching that night, but I saw the highlights.
I was just gonna ask, did you think he let it go too far? The ref.
I can't
I
talk.
100. Oh no! both
I'd
guys.
have to see the whole thing.
didn't see it. I
I
didn't
just
see
saw
it.
the finish, and at that point, I
that
couldn't
was the
see.
That was the fight.
Did you watch the fight?
Yes,
Did you
it was
think
like-
Do you think saying that you watched it?
Oh, 1,000%.
Really? Like
While
at what point would you have
Ian.
stopped it?
Okay.
You got to catch up, Ian.
Ian buys all the fights. Ian spends half of his income on fights.
Right.
Okay.
And I don't make anything.
So wait. So
He buys all the fights.
what? So
I watched it live now.
Okay. So how many punches to the head do you say he took, and when should it have been stopped?
Okay. I can answer it better by saying he 100% the last punch he threw was too much, but I would have rather stopped to keep his last 2 punches from connecting.
Okay.
You could see it. I could see it on TV. He hit him, and then his body did this. And that was crazy.
So
and he kept on.
Yeah,
you
which
ever-
is his job to go until the ref
And
stops.
he was right there.
But we've seen fighters before kind of pull up and look at the ref like,
Francis
Yeah.
was
Stop this.
dropping hammers. It was so it was so shocking.
man, too.
When he did the takedown, I was like, "What are you doing?" And he just picked it up, and the dude went right down. I was like, "That's weird." It was almost like he didn't even really fight for it.
yeah.
And then I'm like questioning, how good is this guy? I know he beat Ryan Bader for the title, but
Yeah.
Was that in Bellator?
Well, look,
PFL.
he left the
PFL, yeah.
he left the
PFL,
UFC as a
Bellator.
champ, right?
he's a lineal champion.
There was another podcast I was listening to, not as good as your guys. of
Thanks.
course. And they were saying that
Modelo?
they were saying that he is the best heavyweight there is out there because he left the UFC undefeated.
He's the lineal champion.
You know, and
100%.
Who would you say is better?
How big of a sample size are we talking about?
Well-
John Jones has 10 years of sample.
No, right now.
Oh, yeah, no. Oh, I thought you
John
meant like,
Jones doesn't
Not
have.
a-
John
not the
Jones has
greatest
one
Yeah.
fight sample.
Oh, you mean currently?
Yeah.
Who's
against
Like a
Cyril
anybody
Gane.
better?
Oh, heavyweight. Yeah, you're right.
He has one
Yeah.
fight, and Cyril Gane quit that fight.
He did quit, yeah.
He'll never see this, so I don't mind talking bad, judging.
Even if he
did
sees
not
it,
try.
we
He was
can run
scared.
faster than him, even at this
He
age.
was scared. I would have
bet
given
you.
John Jones a better fight that night. Whatever was wrong with Cyril Gane, it was just like, oh man, you let us all down.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes fighters have injuries throughout camp that
For
we don't
sure.
know about.
That's true.
That happens a
And
bunch.
yeah, we talked about
I
Henry
mean, you train
Cejudo.
really hard to
Yeah.
prepare for a fight.
I just want to see John
It's
Jones
bound
against
to
a
happen.
legitimate heavyweight. And Stipe is not
I don't want
legitimate
to see
anymore.
Stipe anymore.
Stipe's
Dude,
not legitimate
that's like seeing
anymore.
that's almost
Yeah.
as bad as the Tyson fight.
Yeah.
I don't want to see Tyson.
I don't want to
Nothing
see
bad
any
to
of
happen
those.
to
I don't want
him.
to see any of those old guys fighting anymore.
Dude,
I mean,
stop it. Cowboys talking about coming back. Dana White shut that shit
Yeah.
all the way down. He was like, nope.
I love Cerrone, but I want to see him fight.
Dana White was like, if he needs
Also-
money, I'll give him a job.
Yeah.
I don't want to see him fight.
Also, Cerrone lost like how many out of how many fights at the end?
Dude, he got knocked out with those shoulder strikes.
Yeah.
And that was the
Yeah.
last Conor McGregor victory.
Yeah.
How long ago was that?
You know,
Was that his last victory? Shit.
That
think
was
so.
Conor's last victory.
Yeah, yeah.
it's hard
Yes.
as an athlete. You in your head, you still feel you got it and you can go.
Well, especially if you train.
Especially if you
ma-
train.
know,
but when
you're-
you watch a young athlete go against a more senior athlete, it's
Right.
clear as night and day. Unless
It's
there's-
so clear.
they just can't keep the pace.
I mean, Tony Ferguson is a really
Oh my
extreme
God. I don't
example
wanna
of
see him
this.
fight anymore either.
And every time I see him talk, I'm like, shut the fuck up. I'm just gonna get a new team. I'm like, somebody needs to talk to him.
Yeah.
And if he's too
Maybe
crazy
Eddie
not to
Bravo.
listen,
Master Eddie,
they
maybe.
broke up. I don't think they get along. That used to be his
Oh
coach.
no,
Yeah.
they don't get along.
I don't think so.
That's too bad.
And as we can see now, Tony Ferguson goes through seconds like a team.
Yeah.
I don't know if he blames it on the team and then gets it on the team, but he always talks about, I got some new guys. Probably because the guys that he have are like, you need to stop. I don't want to be a part of this. Possibly. He's talking about fighting again, and hopefully Dana will be like,
No, I
we'll
hope
shut
not.
it down.
I hope not.
Have you ever refereed
No.
a fight?
I'm just amateur, but never like.
But refereed, not judged.
Yeah, but it was more in-house refereeing, kind of
Yeah,
like
yeah.
what the quintet
Like
was,
the-
stuff
yeah.
like that.
But no, I'm not talking about jiu-jitsu. I'm talking about MMA.
Yeah,
or
Muay Thai.
Muay Thai.
Yeah,
Yeah. So you
Is it fun? Is it stressful?
it's fun and
'Cause
it's stressful, but your job as
it
a
seems
referee.
like you can do it. It seems
is-
like I could jump in there and do it, but then I watch new referees. In the past couple of weeks, there have been some new referees. Dana White fired one.
God, he fired that. I watched that
He
fight you
fired
told
him.
me about.
Dude,
That was crazy.
I look at them and I'm like, it's not as easy as it
No,
seems.
it's not as easy as it
He-
seems. Yeah, I think your objective as a referee is to make sure that the two fighters are safe. You're not, you don't want to stop it too early because you want the fighter. But if you see something that maybe somebody else isn't seeing from the 10th row, I mean, I'm right here, and you're right there. I
Right.
can see your eyes. This
That's what I
weekend
was
we
gonna
had a
say.
fight, and one of my guys got clipped, and I could see in his eyes that I was getting ready to throw a towel in. They don't tell you to do that anymore. There's a ref sitting next to you. You tell him, and he tells the ref. But the ref stopped it anyway, and yeah, I'm glad he did because you can kind of see. It's just like you said with Nagano. There's extra shots that a fighter doesn't need to take,
Right.
and a fighter's going to die in his sword. He's not going to fucking back off and be like,
Right.
I'm going to quit. At least most guys.
Right.
So it's a ref's job to protect the fighter.
Right.
And that's the hard line, is because you want to protect the fighter, but you also don't want to prematurely stop him from competing.
Herb Dean is known. He's probably my favorite.
I like Herb Dean.
He
Yeah.
will let the Cain Velasquez against Junior Dos Santos 2. Wait,
What was the fight with he was reffing where there's a bulldog choke?
that was Robbie Lawler.
Robbie Lawler.
Against,
I was
watching it
against the wrestler,
I was watching
Ben
it with my
Askren.
boy, with Askren. I was watching it with my boy, and I was like, he should stop me because I thought I saw him tap. And
See,
then after
I
I saw that
didn't.
too.
I was
I
the
thought-
I was like,
opposite.
that was a good stop. And everybody was like, it was a terrible stop. And I was like, I don't think it
I
was.
thought he tapped, and if
I-
you
see,
ever
I
been in
didn't
a
think
bulldog
so.
choke,
Yeah,
It's
especially
super
by Ben
strong. It's
Askren.
super strong.
Yeah, if you ever been in a regular bulldog choke, not Ben Askren's, you definitely should probably be tapping at that point, or you would be tapping. I don't know if you
Herb
should,
Dean,
but you
I was
would be.
so impressed. After he watched it, he apologized to Robbie Lawler.
Really?
And I thought that was super cool.
I think the good refs do that. I think
And
they,
Robbie
they can
Lawler was
admit-
like, because Robbie Lawler was like, dude, I was awake. What are you talking about? And Herb Dean was like, oh. And then he watched it. He apologized. And Robbie Lawler was cool about it too.
Yeah.
Which I
I mean,
wouldn't expect
it's not
that.
like
but
Robbie Lawler was barely beginning his career that really affected his career so
no,
much.
but I mean, that's a loss.
Yeah.
It
He's
is
a champion.
no, of course, it's a loss. It's a loss. But
He was just super mature about it. I
look,
think.
if Robbie Lawler had been looking at this on TV after that, he wasn't going anywhere. You know,
Okay,
whether
we
he
talked about this
tapped,
before
whether he
because
fell asleep or not.
You're
he wasn't-
100% right. He wasn't going anywhere,
wasn't going
and it
anywhere.
was going to happen.
Yeah.
But at the time,
Correct.
that it happened, he had not quit.
Although I could swear I saw him tap.
I thought he did
Yeah.
too. I thought
Okay.
he did too.
But
Because
that
I was
doesn't-
sitting there going, I was like, oh.
Maybe he didn't. Maybe he was trying to pull the
Yeah.
arm
He
and something
definitely
like this.
wasn't.
Maybe, I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell
It's just
sometimes.
as soon as Ben Askren let go, Robbie Lawler was like,
Yeah,
what are
he
you
was
talking
fine,
about?
yeah.
And sometimes
And when people are to the point where they're tapping,
That bulldog choke is as much of a crank as it is a choke.
dude, it's
dude.
nasty.
So yeah, you're gonna be fine when they let
pretty
go.
bad.
Yeah.
As opposed to a choke where you're like lightheaded. So I don't want to base
I
it on
wonder how
that.
much he was being choked at the time though.
it's a pretty strong
I tell you
one, man.
what, it looked horrible. And like you said, he wasn't going anywhere. Whether it happened then or in
I
10
was watching it
seconds.
screaming, stop it, because I was like, damn, you're gonna fucking break his neck.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Herb Dean does I appreciate him. He lets things go
I think he lets him go far enough, but not too far. He's
during
definitely one of the better
He gets
refs.
close and I've seen him like get ready to stop it and be like, oh, okay.
Is that like the one against with Alex
The-
Pereira? Where he went like that, and then Alex was like, "Oh,
Well, he was gonna,
dropped him dead."
Jamal Hill's got that.
And then
so
Jamal
wrong.
Hill goes like, "I thought he was gonna stop."
He's got that wrong. I get it. He's got to market himself.
that was
but
crazy.
I wonder if they don't pay these refs well, because I see Herb Dean and I see
I
these
see him
other
all
UFC
over the place.
I
In
see him
one, I
ref.
see him doing little
no,
events.
he refs some of the events we do.
This
You
dude,
know,
the first time I saw him was
Yeah,
in an
yeah.
amateur event.
Mike Beltran, he refed.
See, I thought
Yeah,
they
Beltran,
did
yeah.
get
he
paid
refs.
well.
Maybe they do. Maybe
Amateur
they
ones
just
too.
want to stay active and keep their skills sharp, or maybe they're
It's a
making
job,
extra.
you
I
know.
don't
If they offer them $1,000 for the night, I mean, fuck it, why not? But and I think the UFC. I think
Herb
I did
Dean's,
a
those
research.
dudes are getting more when they do
get like
one. They're probably getting free ticket out there
$5,000, $10,000
because they're
a night.
stars.
Okay.
They
I mean, that's
they,
a crazy-
They have
5,000
three
for a
refs.
night is good.
They
That's
have 3 refs per event. The event goes for about 6 hours, 7 hours, right? With the early prelims and all that. So, talking about the UFC, I don't know about one, but 6-7 hours, and they go on like from the very beginning. And so,
I mean, on that day they do work,
and
but it's just like a referee for
obviously
a
a referee.
softball game. I mean, for an all-day tournament.
Yeah.
They're going to do it. They're doing
multiple.
something all day.
Yeah.
But
And they
at
don't
that
go,
level.
yeah, they don't go 2 fights in a row and all that because they gotta keep fresh too. But what was I gonna say? Let me ask you something. Muay Thai, technical Muay Thai question. When you know how when you watch boxing, you always see boxers cut off the ring, right?
Yeah.
Always, like you never see 2 fighters fighting parallel to the ropes. You never see that. One is always with his back to the ropes and the other one is always pushing him, or the other way around, or maybe in the center of the ring. But you never see them fighting, one standing here and the other one standing here and fighting. Why is it in kickboxing and Muay Thai people do that? I don't know if you've ever noticed. I'm sure you have. It's like in almost every Muay Thai fight or Dutch kickboxing fight, and like Glory and stuff, you would see them go parallel to the ropes or something like this, and just not pushing the other guys back to the ropes. Why is it? Is there any particular reason? Is it because of the kicks, the angle of the kicks, or something?
I'm gonna think it's based on the kicking, but I don't feel like when I watch Muay Thai I see maybe that is what you're seeing. Like I see them fighting on the ropes, off the ropes, in the center, depending stylistically.
They do. But sometimes they'll, like in every fight, you'll notice that sometimes they'll, like let's say the guy's pushing him back,
Right.
and then the other guy comes out from the ropes, you know, so he
circles out.
Circles out,
Okay.
basically, yeah, that's the word. He circles out, and then the other guy, instead of cutting him, like in boxing, you can see the effort of literally cutting him, cutting the ring,
Yeah.
you know. And then in Muay Thai, maybe it has to do with the kicks, probably. He would circle out, and then he'll probably eat or block a kick on the way out as he circles out. But even in MMA, they still kick and stuff like this. In MMA, they do a much better job at cutting the cage or the ring off than in Muay Thai, and they just don't put enough emphasis on that. And I know that, especially in Muay Thai, ring generalship is a big.
I think most Muay
Scoring
Thai
criteria.
fights happen in the center of the ring. So I don't think there's the biggest advantage as there is in boxing of cutting the ring off.
Okay.
When I'm trying to cut the ring off, I'm doing it for an advantageous reason. Where Muay Thai, if we're in the center, I have all my 8 weapons that
It
I can
seems like
use.
those dudes, those Muay Thai, when I watch one, those dudes are so tough and they're about it.
Yeah.
They're just like, I'm going to get hit a bunch and I'm going to hit him a bunch. So I just need to be ready to absorb and just give him everything. Whereas boxing, it's more of like a dance.
In boxing, you could be there's the thing, you know, but it's mostly not so much for scoring nowadays as it is for like not so much for the eyes of the judges as it is for advantage to take advantage of the fact that there is less space for you to run around, right? Because you only have your hands and you can't clinch. So you can throw right hook, left hook to keep him in or straight punches, and you want to put him in the corner essentially, right? So with boxing, I find that because of fighters like there's other like Willie Pep in the past and all that stuff, but then Mayweather made it, like Muhammad Ali with his back to the ropes, a bunch of other fighters, Mayweather's dad also. They used to fight with their back to the ropes a lot, and it kind of looks like running around, like what they say, running from. But it's a counter style, you know, counter punching style and all that stuff. You can call it defensive style if you want, without any negative connotations on the word defensive here. But it makes more
Floyd's
sense.
super defensive.
Yeah.
Whereas like a Muhammad Ali isn't super defensive.
Well, but Muhammad Ali had this his shuffle dance, whatever you want to call it, right, where he was actually dancing around the with his back to the ropes, you know. So it's not defensive, but it's not really.
Well, he would do a lot of the rope
It's
and
not
dope
that-
where he would
yeah.
lean back,
Right.
just out of range of the punch, use the momentum of the rope to come forward. I think with Muay Thai especially is it's changing a little bit, or it's changed a lot, I should say. But back in the day, even when I was young and training, kicking and kneeing were the primary thing in Muay Thai. Hands
Okay.
were
They
very
are.
secondary.
They still are, yes.
And it is hard to cut a ring off with your legs as opposed to your hands, where I can kind of push you this way with
Right.
my hook.
Yeah,
I can't do that as quickly with my legs.
That's probably the.
So I think as Muay Thai has grown, I think you're seeing more guys who have really good
Please,
hands,
thank you.
as well as good kicking. But back in the day, it was the hands were used to gain distance, so I can land a knee, an elbow, or a kick.
Yeah.
I used to watch old Muay Thai videos when I first started jiu-jitsu
Yeah.
with buddies that did the Muay Thai at that school, Lynx Academy, shout out, Virginia Beach, Virginia.
Hey.
Dude, what I loved, what I thought was so cool, when those guys did I think it's called the Ramoi.
Okay.
They
Yeah.
do like the dance before.
The white crew, yeah.
Oh my, why? Okay.
Ask
And
Forbes. We should get Forbes.
when the guys would be doing it at the
That'd be a
same
good interview.
time, I just thought that was so hard. The other thing I thought was really cool.
Yeah, so it's a dance to represent the school that they train.
Okay, and they kind of
Oh,
be
is that
doing
what
it
it is?
just
Yeah.
like they'd be like dueling ones. They'd be
Yeah.
doing it at the same time, and then I thought it was so exciting watching it because there'd be like 5 rounds, and they had music playing the
Yeah.
whole time, and every round the tempo of the music increased. And the fighting increased. The first round, it was like, they
Yeah,
looked
if you watch
okay.
Thai fights in Thailand, even they
The
start
5th
very
round,
yeah,
it's
they
ball.
build.
It
They
was
also have live
sprinted.
betting.
They sprinted, at
Which
the
is
end.
very dodgy. Live betting, throughout the rounds, and you can bet until the second round or something. I've read the
Well,
rules.
they have. I don't just because I don't like sports bet, but I did notice they have live odds. So I thought that you could do that in sports right now.
Yeah, you
in
can-
sports, you can do live odds. Yeah.
Live,
In-
as in, if
I
I'm
think
going to
in
bet
fighting,
on
in fighting too. Yeah.
so you can keep betting until what point?
I don't
The
know. I
5th
think
round
in
of a
Muay Thai,
fight?
in Muay Thai they fight 3 rounds. I think, right?
Yeah, unless it's a championship fight, then it's
Right, and then I think in Muay Thai until the second round you can fight it. You can bet.
I always
You can
thought
bet
that
on the
was-
third. If I'm not mistaken, in Thailand.
I'm not sure.
But here's the dodgy part. In Thailand, it's not like you go on a computer and you just pay the guy next to the. So you don't know who the guy is giving the money after that. So
Yeah.
that's my point, right?
Thailand is a little sketchy. I had a
well
good
done.
friend that did a bunch of security work with. Shout out Just Payne, R.I.P. He died in Thailand.
Oh no.
It was sketchy. The story was he came back. He was a wildcat. He was a wildcat. He came back to his hotel bleeding after a night out of partying, and the guy at the door was like, "Let me call you an ambulance. Let me call a doctor." And it's so of this guy. He's like, "No, I'm just gonna go to sleep," and he never woke up. Yeah. Said all that to say, Thailand is wild.
Probably.
It's wild. He spent a lot of time there, and I worked with a bunch of SEALs doing contract work, and they'd always talk about Thailand.
Really?
It's cheap partying, and there's guys that are like, I want to retire in Thailand. I have a couple $1 million.
It also depends where. I mean, because like Bangkok is wild and all that, from what I know. But if you go to other places, retirement is a very good possibility there. But
I'd love to go.
yeah. What's the what's in store for you? What are your plans for developing fighters here? I know we have some
Some belt holders or something.
belt holders, amateur fighters. I think is Byron fighting soon?
Byron's probably not going to fight till the new year. There was an offer for him to fight in November, but just the schedule didn't work out well for him, and so we're going to probably push to the new year.
He's amateur?
He's amateur. I think a couple more fights for him, then he'll try to turn pro. Eric, yeah, he's young. He's just turned 21.
Oh, wow.
So I don't want to rush it. It's
That's
a
right, yeah.
fine line of like cooking it properly,
Sure.
but not rushing it, the meal. I think he's got a ton of potential. And,
To like
just
MMA or like
MMA.
Muay Thai? Okay.
MMA, yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah, so we'll just keep training, and what takes a few more fights, and then I think people think you turn pro, you don't go right to the UFC. You turn pro, you probably fight locally in some smaller organizations that pay the fighters, which is great, and you got to build your resume there.
Like a LFA, like those type of?
LFA, Up Next. There's just a bunch of local LA promotions that have amateur and pro, so they have pro and AMI cards.
Okay.
And and then just like you do on the amateur circuit, you got to build your resume and win. And you got to do that on the lower level pro and build your resume and win. Nobody's going to take you into the UFC and give you a big contract unless
Yeah.
you've proven you deserve that contract.
Let me tell you, I was so proud because we go way back. I can, your professor, instructor, coach, friend. I was at home. I worked a full day, rushed to get home, and I think the fight had already happened. But I opened my little laptop, home alone, watching
Richard?
Charismatic Rich, yes,
Okay.
on BKFC,
Yeah.
and I saw you in the corner. I almost got emotional.
Yeah.
I was so proud. I was like, "That's my man."
Yeah. So I guess that
I was like, it looked the whole
the whole
being there looked good
yeah.
on you.
Oh,
You
thank
know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
it was amazing. I mean, Rich is a good kid.
Yeah.
Some
We had
fucking
him here on the podcast.
We had him here,
He's
dude.
really nice.
That almost
Yeah,
got
really
emotional.
nice
Him
guy.
talking about those fights. I
big
was
balls
like, oh
that
my
fucking
gosh.
not very many
Yeah.
people are cut for that
Yeah.
cloth to fucking get in there and bare knuckle fight.
Just a maniac.
Yeah. I mean, some of the dudes in the locker room, they were little
Rough?
nuts.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
They're it was. I've been in a lot of locker rooms, and the energy is pretty high. And
Yeah.
you can tell guys are tough and they like to fight. That was another level.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, these guys would
Wow.
probably be like, "Hey, I'll give you $10. You chew the bottle off this fucking thing," and they'd probably be like, "Okay," like that kind of nuts, man.
Yeah.
That's why Mike Perry does so well, and I think it's
He's a
Well,
maniac.
that's
Yeah.
the thing, man. Mike Perry got
He's a maniac.
Mike Perry got owned by Jake Paul.
Jake
Yeah,
Paul
well-
is way bigger, dude.
I mean, he was way
Jake
bigger,
Paul
but he
is-
was way bigger. But you would think
Come
Mike
on.
Perry would give him something, some technique or something.
I think he did a great job for what he was giving up. First of all, that's a different sport. Boxing
sport,
and boxing with
different weight class,
gloves.
yeah.
It's a totally different sport. For him to do that and be undersized. Look, he did fine in my book.
Yeah, I think the thing too with coaching Rich in the bare knuckle bout was, I had never coached a guy in bare knuckle. It's a different sport. I mean,
Yeah.
it's fighting. It is fighting, but bare
But
knuckle
you get the
fighting is
different
completely
things.
different than
It's
MMA
different, man.
fighting, Muay Thai fighting, jiu-jitsu grappling. It's all different sports. It's
Right.
like basketball's not football. They're both
Right.
balls, but they're just different
Right.
rules.
Yeah.
And we realized quickly after that first fight, like, okay, there's a skill set we need to develop if this is what you're going to continue to do for bare knuckle fighting. And so
I wonder, bare knuckle is so new-ish.
yeah,
I wonder what the time frame for like an average career is compared to boxing. It's got to be way lower.
Super short. There wasn't anybody who came off that ring that didn't look like a MASH unit, man. The back room, they had a tent set up, and there was 2 doctors in there. I kid you not. And there's blood on the floor, blood on the table. Homeboys are sitting right there getting stitched. I was like, yeah.
Those like war movies where you see them and just bring
it was exactly like
put
them
a
on the
MASH
table.
unit.
Yeah.
My dad watches when I go home. My dad watches MASH. I watch MASH with my dad.
Yeah. And one guy would come out, blood on the table, didn't matter, didn't clean it off. Next guy would sit down, they start stitching them up. Wow. It was insane. Wow. Even the winners, lack of a better word, look like losers because their faces were all.
Yeah.
It's a sport that I think
you can't do that.
You can't do that too long.
The doctors got paid the most.
Yeah.
And I even wonder about like how.
Yeah, and these bones are small.
Rich
broke both of his hands.
This is meant to hug people, shake hands, and play instruments.
That's why boxers. You always hear about boxer goes to a bar, gets in a fight, and he broke his hand because they have wraps, they have gloves when they hit somebody. You hit somebody.
They break their hands with the gloves.
Yeah.
In fights, they break their hands.
Yeah. These are small bones. It doesn't take much. You hit somebody in their hard head, you hit somebody in their elbow. I guarantee these are bones. I broke this bone. I broke bones in your feet. They break all the time because you kick somebody and you hit their knee, you hit their elbow, and these little bones in the feet.
Pereira's toes were broken.
Yeah, toes, the bones, metacarpals.
I've had a toe broken once. Are there various degrees of severity for that?
Yeah, I think, and depending on the toe.
It wasn't from kicking either. Yeah. For mine. I'm sure it's worse when, I'm sure it can get bad, but he still fought after.
I think the adrenaline when you fight is something that you can't really explain, and it does push you through a lot.
John Jones's toe when he fought.
Yeah, it was all fucking going this way.
Yeah, it was going the one way and then the other. It was Vitor Belfort.
Yeah, we're all at home watching it like, oh my God, how's he standing?
I know, right? Yeah.
But that was also his pinky toe.
No, it was his big toe.
No, it was his big toe, no?
Yeah.
Was it?
It was big toe,
I thought it was.
Because I remember seeing it, but
I didn't want to look at this
it was
thing.
It was like a 90-degree angle to the other one.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
I thought it was the big toe, yeah.
Yeah. I think adrenaline is, people always say, those leg kicks in Muay Thai, no shin pads. Because people kick each other with big shin pads. I'm like, ow, it hurts. How you do that? And I'm like, man, your adrenaline's going. You're gonna be feeling it the next day.
We've heard legendary things about your kicks. Yeah, I felt it, but not the way Muay Thai guys here. I felt it, but I've heard legendary things about your kicks here.
But back in the day, we spent a lot of time making my shins
talk about your
hard.
shins.
Yeah, how is that?
Have you heard them complain about this?
People like rolling stuff.
Yeah, I've got I don't do it as much anymore. Now I'm kind of focused more on coaching than training myself. But back in the day, and still to this day a little bit, I had a whole routine of conditioning my shins.
Really?
Yeah, hitting them with wire brush, kicking parking meters.
That's insane.
Is that what Forbes is striving to do?
Yeah, he's trying to do now. I take the 40-pound dumbbell and I roll it down my shin.
Because I see some of these guys, it looks like I always see, it feels like if I did it, I would have a Chris Weidman, Anderson Silva.
No, you got to slowly, just like a weight room. You don't go in there and put 300 pounds on the bar and try to bench it. You start with 10, and then you go to 20, and then 50, and so forth. And you're basically just, you're getting these little tiny microfractures in your bone.
Yeah, that's what I heard. You actually create, you actually
tiny
break
cracks,
the bone. You break the bone to
and then it
to
heals,
calcify it.
kind of like muscles are torn, and then they come back.
Exactly.
Except this is a bone, yeah.
Except it's a bone.
Does that hurt? It hurts, right?
It doesn't. It hurts when you're doing it, just like it hurts when you're doing weights, and you're like, you feel kind of like the muscle the next day sore.
Okay.
You'll feel like your tenderness on the skin because you got to deaden all these nerves first here, and then the bones.
Can you train though? Let's say.
Yeah, you could train, but I tell people. I was telling one of my students the other day, I was like, don't train it so much where it's just like you go to the gym, and I use the analogy of the weight room. If you blast your arms, you're not doing arms again for another week or so, right? Because your arms are dead.
They got to heal.
Blast it enough where it's sore for a day or two, but you can hit it again a day or two. I tell people when you're conditioning your shins, condition them enough so you can do it every day. Mm-hmm. You can't do it so much that it's like, don't touch my shins for the next 2 weeks.
Well, how do you know when? Is it a matter of personal feel?
It's a matter of personal feel, but it's also, a lot of it's just common sense, right? I mean, one of my students was like, Coach, I heard you say you roll the weight down, so I picked the dumbbell up and I dropped it on my shin. I'm like, That's not what I said. I didn't say pick a weight up and drop it on your shin. I said roll it down your shin to condition it. We're not going to say who that.
Where did you roll it from? You know what? I just realized I don't look good here like this. It just doesn't look.
I was wondering what was going on.
No,
over
it's
there.
not mine. It was his bottle, but I look like it doesn't look good. I don't look.
Bulgarian style, baby.
Yeah, Greeks are very different.
Yeah. So the conditioning of the shin is, I used to condition because I started with traditional martial arts. I'm an older dude, so MMA didn't exist when I was a young kid learning martial arts. So I started with all the Chinese martial arts, and all that was all, as you guys know, you've seen all those kung fu movies and stuff. It's iron
Like
palms.
flying and stuff.
Yeah, well, those,
I'm
that. But
How do you do that?
it was the
That's how we
condition.
learn how to dunk a ball.
It was all the concept of like having the iron palm and the
Right.
iron shins and forearms and shins and
So you actually started doing that when you were doing. You told me you did kung fu or Wing Chun.
I did all of those. Yeah.
Okay,
I
so-
started with first as a kid like boxing, just American boxing, and that was the first like organized one I did. But prior to that, as a kid, in the neighborhood we were big into like the Chinese martial arts, so we would be in the backyard with the nunchucks and Chinese stars and doing all that stuff. And then I met somebody who was a traditional martial artist, and I studied with him for a long time. And
Is that when you started conditioning your shins? And
that is when I started. Yeah.
Because I gotta tell you, man, I've been kicked like block a kick, a high kick with shin guards. I mean, I've been kicked without shin guards, right? But lightly on the forearms.
Yeah.
And that fucking thing hurts.
Oh, it hurts.
Rich
And that
Franklin
hurts
got
for
his arm
days
broke.
after
I
that.
can
It
imagine when it
hurts
was
for
like
days.
blocking
There's a
a
bunch of
kick.
nerves here, let alone the bone. If the bone doesn't break, of course.
Yeah.
But there's a bunch of nerves here. The muscle doesn't hurt as much, but
My shin will win against the forearm. This is a smaller bone.
of course.
Especially with the acceleration.
Yeah.
But when you see it, even not so much in Muay Thai, because in Muay Thai you have the gloves.
You have the gloves.
And the way you block in Muay Thai specifically, you use a lot of glove.
Yeah.
But in MMA, you don't. They don't even block like this
Yeah.
because they're gonna break their
Yeah.
hands.
So what happened with Chris Weidman and Anderson Silva?
I honestly think it was
I
an
saw
angle.
both of those happen live.
Yeah, I thought it
And
was.
it was
I mean,
so scary.
you're talking about a thick part of the shin, closer to the
Right.
knee,
Versus,
making contact with the lower part of the shin, which is closer to the foot. And I just think the angle
Is it? Does it get more dense at the bottom?
it gets denser, it gets thicker here at
Dense
the
on top.
top,
Oh, so the thicker
and you can
part.
feel the bone get smaller as
So
it goes
what part
towards
of
the
their
foot.
leg broke?
His broke down here, and he had kicked Weidman high
Okay.
up here.
Okay.
And I think the angle with which he kicked was just a bad break. It happens
Okay.
once in a while. It doesn't happen a lot.
Yeah.
But it does happen.
So scary.
And I don't think that has anything to do with
Happened to
conditioning.
Uriah Hall, no?
Huh?
Uriah Hall. Uriah Hall
Somebody
fought
else
with Chris
recent-
Weidman. Uriah Hall fought Chris Weidman, and it happened to Uriah Hall.
I don't remember that.
Chris Weidman was involved
It
in
happened
two
with
of those.
Chris Weidman
Broke his
broke
against.
Anderson's,
Yeah.
and then
Broke Anderson. No, okay.
and
so,
Chris
wait,
Weidman was
Weidman's-
fighting Uriah Hall, and that's when his
He
broke.
was fighting Uriah Hall, and his broke.
and his broke.
yeah.
So
That's what made
Chris,
it so crazy.
I was gonna say Chris Weidman got involved. It was on the receiving end,
Yeah.
the giving end on both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real quick, when I watch these Muay Thai guys,
Yeah.
like these Rotang,
Yeah, with the MMA
Super
gloves, yeah.
Lek, with the MMA gloves, that's crazy. But these guys, their records are like 240, 50,
Yeah,
and
so
7.
when you guys were talking
How
about-
do you do that?
So when you guys were talking about Thailand, I was going to bring up there was a guy here visiting from Thailand. He was maybe, I don't know how old he was. He was young. He was 20, 21. Hey, how many fights you had? And he's like, oh, I had 100. And I was like, what the fuck? But then,
Wow. And
you
they also
realize,
start really
yeah,
young.
because they start when they're like,
Is there a
6 or
difference between
7.
like pro and
Like
amateur?
wrestling.
I think in Thailand there's no amateur.
It's just-
because the kids are going full contact.
Right.
It's
Which
like
is,
Watch the
wrestling-
which
kids
is
fight. There's no
crazy.
shin pads.
That's
no-
abuse.
Yeah.
It's like wrestling here. How many bouts? How many matches have you had? And you started relatively late. Crazy, right? If
Yeah.
you start as a kid in middle school, or even before that in a club, you would probably have like hundreds of matches
Yeah, a
before you
Muay Thai
reach
fight.
college.
A Muay Thai fight in
Yeah.
Thailand is like a pickup game of basketball here.
Okay. Yeah.
It's not that difficult to get one, and so that's why they don't really train and spar hard in the gym because they're fighting almost every weekend.
That's insane.
Yeah. So.
But that gets your experience
Gets
up.
your
I mean, these dudes
experience
aren't
up.
afraid to fight.
no, definitely not afraid to fight.
That's like,
But they also most of them retire at 28 and are coaching.
oh, is that okay?
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
the cost
Saenchai
of
might
their
be
bodies.
an exception, but most of them were done fighting at
Because
28.
these dudes on one, I mean, they're
That's insane.
receiving abuse. It's crazy. It's so exciting.
Yeah, it's a great.
But I'm
I
like-
think one did a great job of, because you're not going to compete with the UFC, so you got to say
You got to do something a little bit
do
different.
something a little bit different, right? Change, just be in a different lane.
That's how
and
karate
do-
combat is.
They're in different markets too. That's a big thing.
They're in different markets, right.
They're barely trying to get into the American market right now.
They're creeping in with their deal with Prime.
Well, that's the
I
thing.
love
That's how they
that.
started. They
had
started
that
with,
once a month.
It's going to be free, you know, and a lot of
So long
people
that
have
lasts.
Prime, Amazon Prime.
Yeah,
You know, so they figure, okay, it's almost like it's a free thing, you know. It's like you got HBO with perks, you know. So a lot of people have that, or Netflix, let's say Netflix. So they figure
Jake Paul, that's free, right?
the Jake
Free if
Paul-
you have Netflix.
Yeah, that was going to be a Netflix fight. I don't know. If,
with Mike Tyson. Yeah,
Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hate
Yeah.
that.
I don't like the idea either. But,
don't like the idea either.
But I'm curious. To be
I
I'm
am
gonna
curious.
watch. I'm
Of
gonna
course we're gonna
bootleg it. I'm gonna watch
We
it
are
for
gonna watch it.
I
sure.
like the idea,
But
but I'm curious, man.
I'm gonna watch it alone.
I just, Tyson in my mind is, I want to see him a certain way.
Right. I think America is the same.
You
We
know,
don't
we're-
want to see something bad happen. We
Yeah.
don't want to see him get embarrassed.
Yeah.
One thing I did say to myself, I was like, you know what? Hopefully, he's getting such a bag from this fight to where I'm hoping this is what his thinking is. Well, if they're going to give me $100 million to fight, and I get embarrassed, it's all right because
okay for
no
that
one
money.
in my family will ever have to work again. So I'll sacrifice that.
Knowing Mike Tyson, they might have to.
Well, he's way more calmed down.
No, it's way more calm down. Like
Yeah.
those tigers cost money, but I think
Dude,
that it's gonna be
even
okay
in the
this
Hangover
time.
days, he was wiling out.
Yeah.
He's like kind of brand new, but I think he seems like he made a little bit of money with the weed, a little bit as in a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping, especially because it's like with Netflix, that he's getting like 50 million or 25. I mean, like it has to be a substantial number.
It's a good amount of money. Yeah.
It has to be.
Yeah, I'm
It's a
sure
good
it
amount
is.
of money.
He seemed like in a good place when he took the fight. Like, I know it didn't happen, but he didn't seem like he was taking it out of desperation.
I don't think he's
Yeah, no,
desperate.
It seemed like he was like cool with it. Like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to have fun.
I also think he kind of wanted to get back in it, just like with the Roy Jones thing,
Yeah.
and this is like an excuse.
Mike Tyson also is a heavyweight. It's a little bit of a difference between
Yeah, dude,
like
but
Mark Perry fighting
my
and
thing
Mike
is,
Tyson
think
fighting.
about his last
And he's a boxer.
His
He's not-
last-
And it's a world class boxer.
his last real professional fight. You know what I'm saying? Before he
Yeah.
retired for the last time. You know what I'm
Was that
saying?
the Lennox Lewis?
It was- I thought it was against some.
He was
I
going.
thought it was against like a white dude.
He was on his way down at that
He was
point.
on his way down for a long time. He was on his way
For-
down ever
yeah.
since Buster Douglas, to be honest.
Yes.
But he was in such bad shape
Yeah.
in his last fights. The Mike Tyson that we're going to see on the 15th is way worse than that guy. Because like Chael Sonnen always
I
says,
know-
you
I
don't
know
get
what
better
you're
at
saying,
things
yeah.
by not doing them.
Yeah.
As you age. So I don't know
Well-
what I'm going to see. I tell you what I'm pretty sure I'm not going to see is like this and some scariness where I'm like, oh, I'm not going to see what
That's
everyone
true.
thinks they're going to see or really everyone wants to see.
Yeah, we're not gonna see
I
the
hope
version
so.
of Mike. We're not gonna see Mike Tyson. Essentially, we're
you
gonna
can't.
see.
I mean,
Yeah,
he's-
we're gonna see George Foreman.
George Foreman's different.
Remember,
George Foreman won
well,
the title at like 50.
Yeah.
But he did a
George
different
For-
thing.
But when George Foreman was fighting at that time, if you watch him, he fought like he was 50.
Yeah.
He took all the punches and boom, he had a heavy hand and all that stuff.
Yeah,
It's
stylistically,
He
yes.
also didn't have
Stylistically,
the
he
same
looked like he was
abuse
50.
to his body, extracurricular abuse that Mike Tyson
that's
had.
true. That's a different
They're
story.
different.
He was selling grills when Mike Tyson was doing lines.
Right.
But do you remember Mike Tyson a couple of years ago fighting Roy Jones?
Yes. He didn't look bad.
Now my question is Mike
I loved
Tyson
Roy
gonna-
Jones when he was young.
Roy
yeah.
Jones.
Dude,
Is
he was my
Roy
favorite
Jones?
boxer
Is
back
Roy
in the day.
Jones? Is Mike Tyson gonna look against Jake Paul like Roy Jones looked against Mike Tyson? Because if that's the case, that's gonna be bad. Roy Jones looked like someone else.
I think Tyson was training for this. I don't know. It's
I've seen
don't know.
Roy
footage.
Jones' style was a young man's style. You know,
Oh,
Roy
yeah.
Jones' style was something you can't do at the
you
age.
can't
he
do
is.
it at the age.
100%,
Yes.
100%.
It's like basketball players that are flying high and all that stuff, and you're like. 10 years from now, you're going to be a different
You can't
player.
do
You're
that.
not going to be like the same
Like
player.
you can't do Andrew Tackett for 10 years.
Right,
You can't do
right.
Rotolos.
Yeah.
Now, because the jiu-jitsu is specialized, their style can kind of change into something different for a while as they get older.
That you can change because there's no punches involved, so there's no danger of there's no actual danger of you being, you know, jiu-jitsu is different because you can be as old as you want, and you can get fucking smashed for 5 minutes,
And you're fine.
and you're not gonna get submitted.
Yeah.
Your bones are gonna hurt,
Yeah.
your
You're gonna be
body's
sore
gonna hurt,
tomorrow,
but you're
that's
not
okay.
gonna get submitted probably if you're good enough and old with a lot of experience.
The stress is way
One
different.
punch is gonna make you a white belt.
Yeah, I still, I mean, I'm in my mid-50s now. I can still go.
Yeah, how old are you?
55.
Already?
Yeah, already.
No, wait a minute. No, I'm saying that. No, you know why I'm saying that?
We
Because
talked about this.
We talked about. I thought you were 52.
Yeah, we did talk about this. Someone said that.
Yeah.
That was 52?
No, that
Yeah.
you're 55.
Yeah.
55? Who said that?
2 nickels. I don't know who said it.
Because I remember I was like, damn, he looks good. I've been rolled with him last week, and he was like all scary and
Yeah,
stuff.
I can roll still. I mean, I'm not as active as I should be or couldn't be anymore, but
You're all
I-
different from when I first met you,
yeah.
like 8 years ago.
100%.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
100%.
Different rolling now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's changed every decade.
Fucking walk
Yeah.
different.
Yeah, I walk different.
You look.
I drive different. I do everything different. I sleep different. I don't sleep well. I
You have
do everything
mirror. How many
differently now.
mirrors do you have in your car? Like, you have one mirror there and then one a little bit this way, so that when you
I
turn,
turn
you don't
like
have
that,
to
yeah.
turn all the way.
Is that just from a bunch of years of?
It's just everything. It's
Yeah.
55 years. I've been, sports since I was this high.
Yeah.
Wear
Football,
and tear, baby.
baseball,
Mileage.
basketball, and then fighting. Yeah, it's like a car, just overdriven. And but my point was, I could still grapple, even though I don't grapple like I used to. But I can't do the Muay Thai anymore like I used to, and that's because I got bad knees.
Okay.
And to your point of, if you take a good shot to the head, and I've been concussed. Everybody who's fought's been concussed, but I wear that longer than I will if I have a hard round of rolling. Like you said, if I'll go home from rolling, but my neck, my freaking shoulder. But if somebody clocks me in Muay Thai, my head just don't feel right.
Yeah.
And I don't like that. So,
Yeah.
So
It's not worth it.
I do some sparring
We
now with some
need you. We
privates,
need
but
you.
I do it with guys I trust.
Yeah.
Rolling, somebody can be going, crazy and young and strong, but like you were saying, you can get to positions where you can kind of like pin them, hold them.
And it's still not a pleasure.
It's not a pleasure.
It's not a pleasure.
But it's survivable. And
It's not a pleasure.
You're not going home and like, oh, I don't feel right.
I have myself a rule these days. If it's someone bigger than me, fuck it, I'll stay on top. I don't care if they're a white belt. I don't care if, obviously the more experienced they are, the harder it's going to be to stay on top. But
Right.
obviously you should always try and stay on top, right? That's
Right.
like number one thing. But
Unless you're Levi Jones-Leary in the finals of the CJI.
Yeah. Yeah, but he's trying to get on top. He's trying to sweep. He's trying to submit. He's trying to get on top, but in a different way. It's like what I'm saying is like if it's someone bigger, I'm just not gonna let him work.
We're not going to get into this
top of me.
conversation. I don't think he necessarily is trying to sweep you and get on top. I think he's trying to get you into a leg entanglement or get your back.
He was trying to get the back. Yeah, pretty much.
He's not trying to sweep and get on top.
The De La Riva game leads to a back.
Because if he
take for the
was,
most part.
when Cade or Ty went, remember he was acting like an asshole in the beginning? He kind of was like, he sat down too?
Yeah.
Levi would have gotten up.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to be on top because he's good at the hack, which is cool, but...
When Cade sat down, Levi went for the fucking pass. He went for a quick leg drag, and Cade said, "No, that's enough." He went back out. He went back out.
I was just playing.
That was pretty good because Levi is
Jiu-jitsu nerds.
because Levi knows his leg drags. He has a bunch of a ton of videos on YouTube with Lachlan Giles teaching the leg drag, teaching it on Lachlan Giles.
Yeah.
So when he saw how easy it was to get around the leg, he was like, "Oh, fuck that shit." He recovered, but he went back up, But yeah, no, that's age is like unforgiving. That's but I didn't think you were 55. I honestly didn't. Yeah. I thought you were around 52 because I remember when you told me you turned 50, and time flies, and
Time
I don't.
flies.
Yeah,
I remember
sure
you
does.
telling me you turned 50, and I just didn't realize it has been 5 years since then.
I said this years ago. I said this in my 20s, which is crazy. But someone was like, happy birthday. I was like, the older you get, the faster you get old.
Yeah.
And I've come to realize that's more and more true. I'm like, dude, the year is almost over. The year
know,
is
it's
over
just
pretty much.
I know
flying
you don't
by.
feel it anymore.
Dude,
It's like
well, you don't feel the year, but it's like in my body, I'm like, damn, this is worse than it was. Like this is.
Yeah, it's. I don't think I understand completely. It's so frustrating for when you remember yourself a certain way, doing
Right,
certain things,
right.
certain speed, certain strength, and in your mind you still,
Right.
I don't know how many times I sparred or rolled and I'm like, I see the opening, I know exactly where to go, I just can't get there,
Yeah.
right? And that's super frustrating, but you know what? It's a blessing to still be on the mat.
100%.
It's a blessing to still be around young athletes and work with
Elio
them.
gave us a good example.
Yeah.
You know, if I could put my gi on when I'm in my 80s, if I make, you know, it, or if I'm still training,
Yeah.
you know, thank God I'm still training today.
Yeah.
So and when I see older dudes on the mat, I'm just like when I see old white belts, like a 50-year-old white belt, I'm
Yeah.
like, damn, that makes me feel like shit. I'm like,
like-
I need to work harder. Because this guy's got a crazy journey ahead of him.
Yeah.
And they seem down for it,
He's
you
got
know?
a few crazy months coming for him.
Months. If he's 50, he probably has a job. He probably has a family.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, it's the first few months are gonna
It's
be.
just, it's amazing what people
eye-opening.
go through to get their
to the
training
gym.
in.
I'm always, I mean, I own the gym, so I'm here all the time, and it's my life. So my job is to be in the gym, but I am so appreciative of the guys and girls that work 40, 50 hours a week. And, you know, you guys are examples as well. And find time to be here all the time to train, to improve yourself and to help students. And
Yeah.
it's not easy. I mean, this is my full-time job. Everybody else has full-time jobs and are still here, so.
How is it? I know it's getting close to the end, but I just wanted to ask you, what is it like? I kind of call you in my head like a serial entrepreneur, just because I've just watched you kind of grow with this business, and then I know you have the art bar, and I was just like, that's kind of fat. You know, got a beautiful family. How is it juggling all of that, and how much more do you think you can go? Would you want to get another gym, or
Another bar.
right? I don't want to get personal.
We got a bar right here,
I don't know how loaded you are. I mean, you might be a multi-millionaire. I don't know, but I'm just saying, how are you kind of thinking about that, or are you thinking more? I'm going to get a guy in UFC, or you're just like whatever happens, happens. Or
Yeah,
if next year I get a bag, I'm going to do this.
I definitely have in my mind like things I want to still do. I think it's imperative, just like the example of being on the mats. I want to always be looking for the next thing. Like I don't want to. This isn't it. This is one phase of my life. It's been the last 15 years of my life. As far as another gym, that's possibility. As far as
You've only been having gyms for 15 years.
yeah, 15 years I've had the gym.
What did you do before that?
Well, I fought, and then I had a gazillion other jobs. I worked at NBC. I worked at a bunch of.
You're a writer.
Damn, we're gonna have to bring you back
I
in a
do
couple
write,
weeks or a
yeah.
couple months or something, because I had no idea about
I
that.
worked as a stuntman.
It's
I've
like
done
when you have a
bunch
friend for years, and then they tell you some shit. You're just like, what?
of- Yeah.
I thought you
I
had
knew
gyms
you were a writer. I
forever.
didn't know you did stunts.
Yeah, I worked
Yeah.
on 24, the TV show with Kiefer Sutherland.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
What did you do there?
stunts.
Well, no,
This guy's not listening.
yeah. But I mean, yeah, no, stunt. But like, what did you?
Yeah, it was like fighting, shooting guns, stuff like that. My, obviously because I fought, the stunt work was usually fighting. It wasn't jumping off a building or riding a motorcycle.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, to answer your question, I mean, I just kind of want to keep moving forward with things, and I think in life you just got to stay active. Because even my body, if I stop training, I start to become the Tin Man. Like I can't move anything, and I'm like,
true.
maybe I should just stop and rest. I can't. I feel better actually after I train.
Absolutely, and that's.
too.
I mean, I'm sure it's contributing to my demise, but
have to
I
do
feel
it.
like I have
It's
to
a
do it for
funny
now.
balance you have
It's
to
a funny
keep.
balance.
It's
Yeah,
like you have to keep on
that,
living
yeah.
to die eventually.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to die yesterday. I have
But
to keep on living, even though that stress.
You contribute to it, but interestingly, you're actually gonna die faster, most likely, at natural causes, if you stop.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you got to keep the joints and the muscles lubricated and
100%.
fresh, like
And I
by
think that's
working
with
them.
everything, though. And it's with my writing, with my life, with my businesses. I was like, I just want to keep moving forward and do the things.
You still write?
I still do, and I'm trying to find more time to do
I remember a couple of years ago I saw you writing
Like screenplays or books?
that. I've written a book. I've written 7 screenplays.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Did any of them
I
get
haven't
picked up?
really had anything get made, but I've had some great opportunities where I've sat down at table reads with some amazing actors like Gary Oldman, other people that are famous.
Oh, wow.
Just like a different world from what I've
You're telling
always
us
knew.
this now, like an
That's
hour
what
and a
I'm
half
just
into-
saying. This is going to be
I thought you
a
guys
part
want to talk
two.
about fighting.
Well, that I
We
mean,
talk about everything.
Yeah,
Yeah, we don't. We don't. Do you see notes?
yeah. I do not.
Exactly.
I see 6 mostly empty beer bottles.
No notes.
I should got a 12
Modelo.
Next time.
next time.
Drink fresh. Listen, if Modelo signs are up, I'm gonna pay you for those 6.
Hey, I'll take
As soon
it.
as we get our first check from Modelo. Wow, that's super cool.
Yeah, but I'm glad you guys are doing this. This is fun.
It's fun. We got like 3 followers.
Every time I look
2
at
of them
it,
watch it. 2 of them watch it. Sasha was like, "Oh, I'm gonna watch it." Sir, turns out she doesn't because I caught her. Yeah.
How would you know if she watched it or not?
Oh, because I said something a couple episodes ago. We started when Kyle was here. We opened the thing. I just let it roll, right? And we opened with something funny, and I took a jab at her, and I'm like, "Oh, Sasha, you're gonna love this. You gotta watch the beginning." And she's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna watch it." And then 2 days later, she didn't say anything. I'm like. You didn't watch it, did you? I had to play it here for her, so I know she didn't watch it. So I'm like, all
she
right,
hadn't
all right.
watched it yet. It's hard for me to watch. Hard as in I'm just so excited and anxious while I'm watching it, and then I'm like, oh, I remember that. Then I'm just like, all right, after 5 minutes, I'm gonna put it on pause. I'll get back to it.
Oh, it's so disorganized. How many times do I think like after, because when I edited it, I kind of watched the whole thing, right? So I'm like, oh fuck, I remember this question I was gonna ask, and then I didn't.
Yeah.
So, but it's okay. It's like we
Like I've been thinking, and I haven't watched it, but the part in the last one we were arguing about the dollar being used in international trade, because we get in some crazy conversations sometimes.
we've talked about everything pretty much. Yeah, we talked about slavery, Nazism, and the dollar being used for international trade, whether or not. What does China
I was like,
use?
it's a petrodollar for buying oil, but I don't know, when just 2 random countries trade with each other, why would they use the dollar? Well, we got the AI, Google, and I'm still gonna deep dive it at some point.
No, you do that.
But at the end of that day, he was more right than me. And I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
No, we talk about but that was the initial concept of the podcast, because what we did was we would shoot the videos right here at night, and it's the same time of the night, right? So we shoot the video, and then we're done shooting, and it's like at some point, when you shoot instructional and all that stuff, it kind of, you get tired pretty fast, and then we go out, and it was the middle of the summer. It's nice and hot outside. We're just standing by the cars for another half hour. And we're just,
after we did the instructional.
talking, and then we're just talking, and I'm like, you know what we should do? We should film this, because we said something funny once.
Yeah.
We should film this, and
That's
start a
right.
podcast or something, and that's how it started. It's like-
That's dope.
I tell you,
Talking-
it has been nothing but an enrichment to my life. I just laugh to myself about it. And like I said, every time it's about to start, I start getting nervous. I start getting nervous around like Sunday night. I'm like, dude, what T-shirt am I going to wear? I'm like, I have no clothes.
He didn't think about that.
Oh, he's just coming from work.
from work.
I'm like, I need to get new clothes. I need to do that. What are we going to talk about?
So
And
how
then-
many episodes have you guys done?
This is number 11, I think.
Oh, that's 12, no?
12. Crazy.
That's
I
12.
missed
Remember,
one.
we went to double digits last time without the 0.
I thought it was 10 last
Double
time.
digits without the 0, remember?
Okay, I'm
Yeah,
not going to
yeah,
argue about that. I won't argue about something I might win. He's been here for all of them. I missed the one because I went home, and Sasha was a co-host.
Sasha
for that
filled
one.
in, and
How
it
did
was
she do?
it was a disaster. It was couldn't wait to have you back. Never
My
again.
sister talks about Sasha.
Nah, she does. Yeah.
Yeah, she's a personality.
Yeah. Well, your sister is the viewer.
Right.
But yeah. Well, we should get you back sometime.
Yeah,
you know,
of course, anytime.
Especially
The second
after fights and
part of the
stuff. Yeah,
lifetime.
Part
That's
two.
interesting.
Part two,
That's
We
crazy.
should talk. I meant to ask you about your past, because you're from Chicago, right, originally, but you're from Greek descent, so you have like Like you're first generation American. Yeah. So that's quite interesting because people are sometimes second generation, so that kind of waters down.
Yeah.
But first generation is always interesting because you grew up American, but you grew up with
In a Greek house.
in a Greek house.
Right.
Yeah. And especially like my son doesn't speak Bulgarian. He learns Spanish, but he doesn't really speak it at home or anything like that. So he's probably even worse than you in that regard because you grew up speaking Greek, right?
Fairly much, but my parents separated, so the Greek kind of went out the window.
Okay, that's fine. Okay. But I remember you, speaking of writing, I remember you were writing something in Greek.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah, because I remember you're keeping your Greek, you're trying to keep your Greek.
But
Yeah,
you're
try-
writing something in Greek, as in you're using those.
Greek.
Don't they have different characters?
Yeah, those letters, yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
You're sitting there going like. I'm
those
looking-
letters over there, you see them on
Is that
the wall?
Japanese? Is that kanji? Oh, wait a minute.
It's not Chinese.
I think language is like anything. It's like an exercise. You have to keep it,
Oh,
Sure,
yeah.
you
keep
forget.
up on it, or you know.
And the funny thing is, by the way, speaking of the ecological ecological method of learning, kids learning a language is exactly that. They get like thrown into the deep waters, and they have no other choice but to learn. And that, by the way, I've witnessed that with my a friend of mine's daughter. She in South Africa.
You're talking about how when kids are growing up, how they learn
Absolutely.
language.
She did not speak anything but Bulgarian for the first 6 years of her life. She goes to kindergarten in South Africa. She goes to kindergarten, which is in English. Within a month, she spoke English.
And I think that has a lot to do with
No accent, by the way.
her. She was still young.
Yeah, of course. That's what I'm
So
saying.
much easier when you're young.
Yeah, because
So much easier.
language is like a living thing, kind of.
But you don't think about it when you don't think about the learning process.
Well, even
of
think
it.
about how a baby learns English. They don't really learn
Right,
it.
right,
It's
right.
like inculcated.
Right.
So it's like this thing that grows
Yeah.
inside of them, and I think the propensity of one's brain to do that,
Propensity.
it like a natural inclination.
Okay.
As you get older, that is less.
That
It's
and
less
you
plasticity.
have all these structures in your head of how, like, growing up speaking
Okay.
English.
You already have a thing.
You have a structure, like in Greek, is the structure of
It's
sentences is
different.
Correct,
It's,
it's
different, like a syntax.
And it's
Sure.
difficult then to get the English out of your head and relearn a language.
It's just weird to me how to, if you know a language, how you would forget it. And it's probably because I would imagine it's impossible for one to forget their first language.
Yeah, I don't think that. I asked my parents before they.
But how do you forget
I
it?
don't.
Like, and I've never known I've never known a language.
I grew up with Bulgarian.
But you've forgotten Greek.
I've forgotten it, then I relearned it, then but it's like you don't. I guess you're right in the sense you don't really forget it.
If you
It's
went
just I
over
didn't
there-
speak it enough as
Like
a
when you
kid
went
to
over
be-
there here recently?
Yeah, I was able to communicate fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, maybe not as well as obviously the natives, and there were some Greeks there that spoke English better than I spoke Greek, so they would just speak to me back in English.
Okay.
But I remember when my parents were passing, and I just had, I didn't have deep conversations with them a lot, but I asked them because they were having a lot of lucid dreams, and I said, do you dream in Greek or in English? And they was like, it's in Greek. But they had been living in
You see,
America for so long.
I dream in English.
Yeah,
I dream in English.
really.
Yeah. I
And
dream
when-
in English. My wife does too.
Probably
And my
because it's
step-
your foremost.
And my stepfather, who
don't know.
never really spoke to me in Greek when he was passing, he only spoke to me in Greek. It was like he was just talking to me in Greek as if that was our language.
Wow.
And it was weird that's not
But
weird,
your
that's-
parents spoke at home Greek.
Yeah, but they separated when I was 3.
No, but the thing is, when you asked them what they were dreaming in,
Yeah.
they spoke Greek at home.
They
Their
were,
main language was
When you
Greek.
say separated, you mean
they got divorced.
okay?
Yeah.
Because I was thinking you're meaning they stopped speaking Greek and started speaking English.
They just divorced.
Oh, okay, okay.
So then it was
That's
single
why.
parents.
That's
and,
why they were, because their first language, their language was still Greek. They spoke English as an afterthought at work, probably, right?
Yeah, but they'd been living in America longer than they lived in Greece.
But it still
They
happens.
left,
It's,
came here
it's
at
still
19.
possible. It depends on what you speak at
18
home.
and then die at 70 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's 50
Okay.
years of being in America.
That's
But yeah,
true.
they
It does matter what you speak at home.
it does matter, and I think for them especially, they just surround themselves with other Greeks.
Or
So
that.
even
yes.
though they were living in America,
Yeah.
we never as a kid went to an American family's house. We just went to another Greek family's house.
Okay.
It was just what it was.
Portocalos. Remember that? The big fat Greek
one,
flag?
yeah.
Did you go to Mount Athos.
Athos, I haven't been there.
You haven't?
No.
That's where there's monks there.
The monastery, yeah.
Okay, because I've watched some
Wait,
videos.
where is it?
Mount Athos. I think it's in
the north of Greece?
It's like
Isn't that-
Orthodox,
isn't
Greek
that
Orthodox.
where-
Greek Orthodox is a religion.
I've been watching. I watched these videos, and it's
I read about it just
crazy.
recently.
super interesting. And that was when I was watching these videos. That's when you were there,
Oh,
and I was
wow.
almost like, man, I wonder if he'll accept a text from me. I was like, I'll just wait till he gets back.
That's funny. I had
But
taken my
yeah.
kids there. It's the first time there, so it was more of a
Okay.
let me show them all the spots
Oh,
that
I'm sure that was exciting.
meant something to me.
You got married there, right?
I did,
You-
yeah.
I remember you saying, and in what's it called Santorini.
Santorini, correct.
Yeah, and you went back there now.
Took the kids
Oh,
there.
is that where the white houses are in the hills?
Yeah.
They're all over though. They're all the islands have that.
Not all
that
of
kind
them.
thing.
There's like almost 1,000 islands, and they're called the.
How is there almost 1,000 islands? That's a lot.
It's a lot of islands, but there's like
Are they all
12.
inhabited?
Yes, some more than others.
How big are these islands? Like
Some
as
are
big as
tiny.
Uprise?
Some are tiny. Some are
It's
sort
like an
of big.
archipelago. It's normal.
Yeah,
To have 1,000 islands?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of
a
countries.
lot
have.
of islands. Yeah.
The world is so intense. It's
A lot
so
of countries have that, and
And the islands are very different. If you go to the eastern side, it's very Muslim Turkish influence.
Right.
If you stay in the kind of the Cyclades, which is where the white and the blue is, it's a little
Right.
less. You go to the western side, it's got more of a Venetian Italian
Oh, yeah?
feel, and it's just because of the
Can they
occupation
see
of.
each other? Can like one island be like, hey,
No, I mean you couldn't say hey, but you could get from some islands are super close, where you could take a boat and be there in 2 hours.
because
Others
1,000,
are-
that's like 100 times 100.
Yeah,
but
there's
Or 100 times 10.
But they're spread out. That's what he's saying. The Greek peninsula is like this. Imagine, and then there is like Modelo, and then there is like islands around. They're not like all here where you can like.
But
you
they
know,
all belong to Greece.
yes,
Well, yeah.
little tiny
and
islands
then,
all
and
throughout.
they go like this. They go like this, and then on this side where Turkey is, they speak more.
There's more-
The
yeah.
influence is more Turkish.
And then some closer to the coast of northern Africa, and then some close
Yeah.
to the coast
Are
of
they
Italy.
newer, or is it like kind of like a Pangea effect? If
They've-
you squeeze them together, will they fit?
Some of them would. Crete and Santorini were once one, and
By
then
the way, it's
volcano
a very
separated.
earthquakey area.
Yeah.
So a lot of it has to do with it probably. And in
Okay.
the past, right now not, but in the past, I bet you there was a lot of volcanic activity.
Yeah.
Right now, there's like three volcanoes in Europe, I think, active. But
Yeah, the world's just such an interesting place. I think unfortunately people don't get out of their.
Cyprus
don't,
is
especially Americans.
Cyprus is divided into two different countries.
Yeah,
Cyprus
Turkey
belongs
and-
to Turkey and Greece.
That's the only island that's debated over. Yeah.
They're debating, but it's not the only island that's separated between two countries.
No, no, in
but,
Greece,
But yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
in Greece,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
We always drift and have a little pocket of geography.
Yeah.
We always do, or history, you know.
Or
like,
history.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Yeah, we start talking about history and geography and stuff like this. It's education.
It'll be funny when we're like in our 1,000 episodes, and we're like big. You know, we're on Spotify
You know
and stuff like that.
you know how long 1,000 weeks is? 52 weeks is a year.
So that's 50 times what, 200?
20. 50 times 20 to get to 1,000. 20
Oh,
years.
20 years.
20 years from now.
Still be doing jujitsu.
I think we're gonna need more
Inshallah.
comfortable chairs that are more comfortable than this, because my ass is about to get. I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to drink at that time.
Joe Rogan must have gotten away with that because he'll do like 3 and 4 in a week.
But he does, he does more. You got Jamie there to edit and all that stuff. You
I
know?
can't watch that anymore.
Yeah, I don't.
I never
watch
really
Rogan
watched
either.
him. I mean, it's
I
super
watch
cool.
clips. It's
The
hard
clips.
for me to sit through the whole
Dude,
thing.
for a 3 hour of some foolishness, I'm like, dude.
I watch 3-hour episode if it's someone that I know, like that I
I
know I'm
can't.
gonna watch, like Neil deGrasse Tyson, John Danaher, or whatever, Gordon Ryan, let's
Yeah,
say, or
Neil deGrasse Tyson's pretty
Craig Jones, yeah. But I'm not gonna sit down and watch somebody I've never heard of.
I used to
for
watch the
3
Fight
hours.
Companions.
The what?
The Fight Companions.
What is that?
Like, they would
podcast?
watch the UFC
Oh yeah.
before I got the link. But now I'm not a big
Now
fan
you just
of
buy
like
it
all those
with the
dudes.
link.
I just buy it with
Yeah.
the link. The link bucks.
Anyway, let's call it a night because it's late
was
and
fun.
the Modelos are out.
Look for the part 2.
Modelo. Anyway,
Coach.
Pete, thank you for
That was a great
being
time.
here.
brother.
And there's going to be a continuation to that.
Yeah, let's
because
do it.
Yes.
Let me
Yes.
know when.
Maybe after. Are you going to corner Richard for the next fight?
I don't know if he's doing another bare knuckle. We talked about it.
He's-
He had a
well,
3-fight
unless he's-
contract.
Yeah.
I'm trying to encourage him not to do it.
Yeah,
See, I know you're coming. It would be so exciting.
Didn't want to encourage him not to do
But-
it, but we were on the same
Yeah.
boat.
Yeah,
you know?
that's
I
just
mean, look,
so
I'm
damaging.
I'm not his fan. I'm his coach.
Right.
And more than his coach, I'm his friend. And
Right.
I think I want all my fighters to look out for their best interest first.
Yeah.
Like if he wants to do it, I'll be there 100%. The only one I wasn't the second fight was because I was in Greece. But if he, of course, I'll be there to help him and corner him. I think Rich is super talented. I'd love to see him get back into Muay Thai and MMA.
Yeah.
He's mentioned wanting to do MMA. He doesn't know much grappling
did
yet.
say, yeah.
But I'd like to see.
There's
I'd like
a
to
lot
work
of
with
dudes
him
that
there.
don't. That's something
Yeah.
that you can learn
Yeah.
fairly, at least anti-jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to become a
You don't become a black belt, but you can compete at you
Yeah.
learn some fundamentals. So that's what I would like to see him do. But again, it's his life and it's his path. So
Yeah.
I'm going to support it either way.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, definitely. Have you back. If he does fight, we'll have you back right after that, maybe.
Yeah,
And if he doesn't, we'll just have you back at some point and discuss your.
We'll have our producer.
your past and your
have your
future.
producer contact my agent.
Yeah. My agent can contact your agent. So I'll see you tomorrow.
I'll be here
I
tomorrow.
will see you tomorrow morning.
We'll talk about it. What's tomorrow? Wednesday.
Wednesday morning,
We'll see
yeah.
you tomorrow morning if we leave now.
You got to be back here in 7 hours.
I gotta be back here in 7 hours.
Might as well
but
just sleep on the mat.
Yeah. But then it's after that.
Are you
I'll
coming
sh-
in the morning to train?
Yes.
You're gonna come in
I'm
at
off
7?
tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, good for you guys.
All right, let's get out of here.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you again.
You got it, man.
That was a great time.
And thanks
You're
for the cerveza
freaking-
again.
You're a hero.
If we
You're a
get
hero,
paid by
man.
Modelo,
You owe me one.
I'll just pay you the 6 pack.